Relief printmaking. It's not for the faint of heart. It is a challenging medium that requires expert instruction, which is why I don't usually do process videos. Because even though I have a few gray hairs, I'm still learning myself, and I don't want anyone to mistakenly think that I know what I'm talking about. But I want to try something today that I've never done before. This is a 3x4 linoleum block. Battleship gray to be exact. Don't buy the golden kind, it's too crumbly. I bought it for about $2 from the Blick store. But on the back, I glued a piece of hard maple wood veneer. So why did I glue a piece of wood veneer on the back of a linoleum block in the first place? Well, I'm currently working on a big design featuring 50 separate, fairly detailed figures I drew with a pen. More specifically, these figures are 50 of what I can kind of tell is an aggregate of what others seem to think are the most influential rock guitarists of all time. I'm about halfway done drawing them out. I keep promising subscribers of my channel that I'm going to give away a free poster once I'm done with this project, but to be perfectly honest, I'm not exactly sure yet how I'm going to make the poster. In the past, I've used linoleum to make a relief print. I've done silkscreen, I've done digital printing. My preference is to do a relief print because it feels the most handmade of the three, but in order to get these 50 figures on a standard size poster, I'm going to have to make them really, really small. And I'm not sure that I can carve them that small. There is something called a wood engraving. This is the first one I ever did. It might be my favorite medium, but I don't have the woodworking skill to make a really good end grain wood block, which is what you need for this kind of thing. You can also use synthetic material or an etching plate, but the cost of buying 50 of these is way more than I'm willing to spend. Which gets me back to the maple wood veneer that I glued on the block. Based on my past experience with other larger prints, I can't get the same level of detail on linoleum as I have with wood. But I want to prove once and for all if it is truly the cutting material or it just happens to be the subject matter that I chose. And I'm going to do that by carving the same drawing on both. So I chose what I consider to be the easiest of the drawings I've done thus far to experiment on. George Harrison. And I'll be using the same tools to carve with on both surfaces. My feel 12 U-gouge and my 6mm hongi toe, which is just the Japanese word for beveled knife. All right, let's get going. So first I'm doing the wood veneer block. In reality, this probably took me an hour and a half. It shouldn't have taken me an hour and a half, but it was dark and I was having trouble seeing, and this was my first time ever working in this way with this material on this small of a scale, so I just wasn't used to it. And here the second block was much faster. This one took less than an hour, the cuts were much smoother, and it was also daylight, so that probably helped. Here I am printing. It's not sped up as fast as the carving. This only took me 5 minutes to print because they're very small blocks. I'm just using a soft rubber roller that I bought off of Amazon. It's surprisingly nice for $7. It's got a really nice heavy wood handle. It's very smooth. I'm using Cranfield oil-based water miscible ink, so it's kind of a compromise between acrylic-based and oil-based. If you want to do something really, really highly detailed and really small, you might have to go with a pure oil-based ink. But I think for something that I'm carving with traditional wood cut tools rather than wood engraving tools, this will probably work. The paper I'm using is mulberry paper. I think it's about 40 grams, maybe 35 grams. And I'm using a bone folder as a baron, which I like to do on these smaller prints. Here's a comparison of the two. I'm not really happy with either one, and because I had to be so light with my inking in order to get the fine details, I probably should have wet the paper first. But it's pretty clear to me that one has more detail than the other, even though I carved them basically the same way. Also, not a great carving on my part either way. If you have to choose between linoleum or wood to do a very small, highly detailed carving, I would recommend wood. Fortunately, wood veneers are very inexpensive, and you can buy them at Woodcraft or Amazon or on eBay. There's lots of places you can buy wood veneers. Or if you're skilled enough to make them yourself, I mean, that's an option too. I'm just not that skilled. If you do make wood veneers and do it the way I'm doing it, I would recommend getting something with a Janka hardness of at least as hard as hard maple. If you try and do something like cherry wood, it can be much more brittle and crumbly, similar to linoleum. Of course, if you don't care so much about getting super high detailed on a very small print, linoleum's really easy to use. It's widely available, and yeah, it's a lot more fun to work with, quite frankly. So go for that. But high detail, you have to have wood. That's my opinion. But if you really, really want to take your skills to the next level for small scale printmaking in the relief style, try out a wood engraving. There's lots of great resources online. I'm a member of something called the Wood Engravers Network, and it's great. Lots of people who know way more than I do are on there. They have a forum, and they have a semi-annual newsletter that they publish, and you can find a lot of great vendors that you wouldn't otherwise know about, where you can buy specialty tools and end-grain wood blocks from professionals who actually know how to make them. So that's my favorite medium by far for relief printmaking. I just too cheap to buy the stuff. So if you're not, you should definitely try your hand at it. As for my guitarist poster, I don't think I'm going to do relief print for my guitarist poster. I can't imagine doing this 49 more times. And the carving, because I'm kind of mediocre at doing it on such a small scale, just wasn't close enough to how I drew it to really be presentable for a sellable print. So I think I might have to go with a silkscreen or a digital copy. But I'm not going to give up. I'm going to try and do some more really small scale wood carvings and see how it goes from there. But thank you for watching, and if you want to follow along my printmaking journey, please consider subscribing to the channel.